You go to his private man cave. You go in there and you find chicken heads and human feet in a jar full of that chitlin juice. I don't know what that juice be that be inside them jars that they be keeping animals in. I don't know what that is, but that's what you find. Chicken heads and human feet in jars. Like he pickling them.
I don't hear nobody out there. Hold it down. Hold it down.
Phyllis began spending significant time with a young woman named Martha David, whom she had first met some months earlier at a beau party thrown by Clive Davis. Martha had been an admirer of Phyllis's for some time and wrote to Phyllis telling her she'd like to work for her. Phyllis was taken with Martha, but initially unsure of what role she could best fill with her company. Martha's passion was dance. Having served as co-director of Smith College's Celebrations Dance Company while she earned a degree in math, and initially she started off as Phyllis's latest personal trainer. But that plan of action was abandoned after only a few sessions. While they waited for the right opening to present itself, Phyllis began inviting Martha to hang out with her frequently, and even brought her on the road for company. Then, as luck would have it, Phyllis's valet, Carlos Suarez, called in sick for what Phyllis felt was one time too many, and she asked Martha to fill in. The arrangement worked, and Carlos did not return. Yeah, because Phyllis Hyman got some Pastanka pending. This takes me back to my very early days of trying to figure it out, if you know what I'm saying. Like, I was so confused in my early 20s about what I should be feeling in regards to women. And I was dealing with a and at the time, I was dealing with a man who I believe was a bit confused about himself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we both were trying to figure it out. And this guy was actually the guy who introduced me to Phyllis Hyman. And when I heard her, I was like, ooh, I don't think this woman is straight. She has too much pain and emotion behind her music. Come to find out from this book that pain and emotion had started with her years ago. That was like her zhuzh. It's like, I think this lady's singing to a woman. Your emotions aren't this enchanting when you are dealing with a man, because the emotions you feel in dealing with a gay relationship is far different from what you feel with a man. And I know you straights is out there like, nah, you don't know what you're talking about. Trust me. When you and your partner are fighting against the world who believe that if something is mentally sick with you, you've got to have the kind of love that is like Gibraltar. Okay, now these gays, they move, they come, they go, they do whatever it is they want to do. But back in the day, now they walk past the closet. Oh, I feel gay today. And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? No, ma'am. No, ma'am. You got some gay women that still don't want to come out because they don't want to deal with what people's perception of them would be. Like Gail and Oprah. Like Jada Pinkett Smith. Part of the reason why that bitch is crazy is because she want to suck on some vagina in public. Okay? And Alicia Keys. Alicia Keys, you ain't fooling nobody. Switzer Beatzer let you have girlfriends, girl. Stop it. You go off to the Dominican Republic And you have all the beautiful women you want. Stop it, girl. But it was not just a professional relationship the couple shared. The two became intimate at about the same time Martha came on the payroll. Hanging out in Phyllis's apartment one night, watching TV and lying on the bed, Phyllis took things to the next level. "What would you do if I came on to you?" Phyllis asked nonchalantly. "I said, what do you think I would do?" Martha recalled. "I thought it obvious that I was attracted to her." Girl, she tried it. In April of 1989, Phyllis traveled with Martha to Washington, D.C. to take part in a fight for women's abortion rights. Joined by such fellow celebrities as Sybil Shepherd, Jane Fonda, Melissa Manchester, Penny Marshall, Glenn Close, and an 8-month pregnant Susan Sarandon. Let me just say, all of them, I had questions about their sexuality. I'm like, they may got some men, but it's a lady around there somewhere. Phyllis marched with nearly 300,000 others through the streets to do a demonstration on the steps of the Capitol. Avid television fan that she was, Phyllis was particularly excited to meet Michelle Lee and Donna Mills of Knots Landing. But making their acquaintance did not distract her from the serious cause that had joined them together. "It's just something I felt strongly about," Phyllis reflected in an interview later that afternoon. While Phyllis had always been a vocal supporter of causes she felt strongly about, the Ocean March, following on the heels of her endorsement of Jesse Jackson's presidential campaign, displayed a stance decidedly more political than she had taken in the past. And she boldly took the stance, knowing it might not be a wise career move. But you know Phyllis Hyman don't give a shit about your feelings. She don't care. Fuck your feelings. So now we're moving forward. Now, Phyllis explained to her lover, Martha, that she was diagnosed bipolar. All right? But there are behaviors now that Martha is seeing that are very concerning to her. And the most concerning was her suicidal thoughts. How do you handle that? I'm going to be honest with you. It takes a super strong person to go into a relationship knowing that a person has some mental concerns. Okay. Now, being in a relationship and finding out later, oh my God, I done fell in love and had a baby with a crazy mother frigger. Okay. That's one thing. But when a person tells you, hey, I'm bipolar, or hey, I'm paranoid schizophrenic, that's something that's totally different. You know, it's like you're willfully taking on a burden. Some people have the wherewithal to do it because when you grow up in a tumultuous household, it's easy for you. You know what I'm saying? Or if you have some mental health concerns yourself, I'm not going to say it's easy. I'm going to say it's bearable. As long as their issue don't interact with your issue, it's very doable, baby. I just know far too many women that got tricked later on. Okay? They thinking they marrying somebody with a bad attitude the whole while. This mother hunter is a whole still killer. He's a killer. You go to his private he shack or man cave. You go in there and you find chicken heads and human feet in a jar full of that chitlin juice that, you know, be, I don't know what that juice be that be inside them jars that they be keeping animal shiz in. I don't know what that is, but that's what you find. Chicken heads and human feet in jars. Like he pickling them. For years, Phyllis had dreamed of branching out into acting. Sophisticated Ladies and the Tony nominations and Theater World Award it resulted in for her was a good start. But Phyllis had made little headway since. Despite her relative inexperience, she had ambitiously auditioned for the role of Suge Avery in The Color Purple and Claire Huxtable on the television sitcom The Cosby Show. Who the hell knew that? You know, strangely enough, though, I think she would have fit in perfectly because her and Felicia Rashad both got that tall well, no, because, you know, working with Bill Cosby don't like his co-stars or his singers on his show to be fat. Aesthetically, she fit the part when she was in good shape. But including all of the other issues, no ma'am. We needed a Claire Huxtable. We needed Felicia Rashad to do that. Not that lady. Despite her relative inexperience, she had ambitiously auditioned for the roles of Suge Avery in The Color Purple and Claire Huxtable on the television sitcom The Cosby Show, but lost out on those parts to Margaret Avery and Felicia Rashad, respectively. In 1989, however, a less auspicious but no less legitimate role literally fell into her lap. Phyllis was in the midst of a week-long run at George's in Chicago when one of that city's leading citizens dropped in to catch her show. Fred the Hammer Williamson had been an all-pro defensive cornerback for the Oakland Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs. After a decade in football, Williamson cleverly parlayed his fame into a respectable acting career, beginning with a recurring role as Diane Carroll's love interest, Steve Bruce, on the series Julia. Moving on to film, Williamson was a major player in the blaxploitation craze of the 1970s, starring in such films as Boss Ninja, Black Caesar, and Mean Johnny Barrows. Williamson established his own film company, Po' Boy Productions, in 1974. By the 80s, Williamson had moved on to mainstream action movies in which he could usually be found playing a cop. He wanted Phyllis Hyman to play in this movie called Soda Cracker. Okay, she did it. And he recognized that she was a fragile, gentle flower that could kirk out on you at any time. And Williamson, because of the love of Phyllis Hyman, he was like, y'all be careful, y'all tread lightly around this fragile little flower. We want her to be in a movie. We believe in her. It's a goddamn shame that so many people believed in this woman more than she believed in herself. Self-doubt is a ninja, y'all. In what was perhaps Phyllis's most serious scene in the film, Irene is seen snorting booger sugar. Irene is her character. Phyllis discussed with Williamson her own addiction to the drug and the battle she had waged to quit it. We discussed that and that the way to beat demons is to face them on to Jesus. In July 1989, Phyllis once again teamed up with Bill Withers and Pieces of a Dream on the road as a sort of sequel to the previous year's successful Quiet Storm tour. Rounding out the bill this time was newcomer Regina Belle, who had just finished recording her sophomore album and was on the verge of breaking out. Between the touring, Phyllis continued working on the new album as she could. Gene McDaniels, who had co-written Meet Me on the Moon with his personal and professional partner, Carrie Coltrane, had asked to produce the song when Phyllis decided to record it. Phyllis had known Gene for years and got the proper permissions in place for him to take her into the studio. She used to tease me a lot, said McDaniels. Carrie's white, and she used to say, "Why do you like white girls?" I said, "I just like people, you know." Racial prejudice is a divisionary process. It's just a way they distract us and keep us busy so we don't see them stealing money from us and changing our democracy and stuff like that. And conversely, she loved Carrie Coltrane. She loved her. She said, "Carrie Coltrane, girl, you can sing." Phyllis was a very fiery woman, said McDaniels. She was an imposing figure. She was a very beautiful woman, one of the greatest voices that I ever heard in my life. As far as distinctive voices, Sarah Vaughan, Roberta Flack, Gladys Knight, very distinctive voices. Aretha Franklin and Phyllis, she ranked right there with the best that ever opened their chops to sing. This session was not easy for Phyllis. For the benefit of the orchestra, McDaniels had drawn up charts of the song. Sheet music was a foreign language to Phyllis. You know what's funny? A lot of musicians play by what they call ear. Honey, and when they get in front of the paperwork, and you know what's funny, I went to college to be able to read that shiz. I couldn't read that shiz before or after. It's like foreign language to people who sing by ear, who play by ear. And it's distracting, and it sometimes messes with a person's ego. You know, if you're a singer, but you can't read music, or a musician, but you can't read music, the high plateau that you have yourself on and others have you on, it just kicks you right off the plateau. You ain't that great. You can't even read music. But to me, it is what it is. I come from Washington, D.C., where you have musicians that, I mean, they come from the dirt. Now, if it was my child, and my child was a musician, I definitely would make them learn how to read music, because you're stifling yourself. Phyllis Hyman didn't take too kindly when they put them music sheets in front of her face. She was like, "Oh, just get rid of this. Just get rid of this. Let's sing this song my way." McDaniels was like, "No, we're not going to sing it your way. You ain't the producer." McDaniels was upfront about not sharing Phyllis's obsession, which was learned from Clive Davis and kept burning by Kenny Gamble, with recording contemporary sounding material. The thing is, you only need one commercial tune. You don't need a whole album full of them, because they sound like attempts at getting a hit. That's not what an artist should put forth. An artist should be like Erykah Badu. You put the stuff forward that fits your soul and let them buy your soul, because that's what they really want anyway. McDaniels was convinced that Phyllis had a powerful message. I think she just wasn't cut properly. I think the songs just didn't measure up to her voice. Eventually, McDaniels convinced Phyllis to do it his way, but she fought him right up to the bitter end. Yeah, I ain't got time for all that. Telling this bitch what I want to do. I'm in charge of the girls, and you trying to tell me how to do what I do? I'm in charge of the girls, not you, girl. If Phyllis wasn't yet an international superstar, she certainly had her pockets of popularity across the globe. She remained wildly popular in the United Kingdom, even if her records weren't always readily available there. For the second time in 1 year, Phyllis traveled with the band to Japan in December of 1989. She played a private party in Osaka on December 22nd, and then opened for a week's run at the Tokyo Blue Note on Christmas Day. No one in the band was particularly thrilled to be out of the country over the Christmas holiday, but Santa knew where to find Phyllis, and on opening night, her gift was waiting for her outside the club. Dante James,
Hollywood.